Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about STS-27. STS-27 was the 27th NASA Space Shuttle mission and the third flight of Space Shuttle Atlantis, launching on December 2nd, 1988, on a 4-day mission. It was the second shuttle flight after the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster of January 1986. STS-27 carried a classified payload for the U.S. Department of Defense, or the DoD, ultimately determined to be a lacrosse surveillance satellite. The vehicle's heat shielding was substantially damaged during liftoff, and crew members thought they would die during re-entry. This was a situation that was similar to the one that would prove fatal 15 years later on STS-107. Compared to the damage that Columbia sustained on STS-107, Atlantis experienced more extensive damage. However, this was over less critical areas, and the missing tile was over an antenna which gave extra protection to the spacecraft's structure, and not part of a wing as cited initially. The mission landed successfully, although intensive heat damage needed to be repaired. The mission is technically designated as STS-27R, as the original STS-27 designator belonged to STS-51I, the 27th Space Shuttle mission. Official documentation for that mission contained the designator STS-27 although, as STS-51L was designated STS-33. Future flights with STS-26 throughout STS-33 designations would require the R in their documentation to avoid conflicts in tracking data from one mission to another. Mission Summary. The Space Shuttle Atlantis, at the time the youngest in NASA's fleet, made its third flight on a classified mission for the United States Department of Defense. It deployed a single satellite, USA-34. NASA archival information has identified USA-34 as Lacrosse 1, a side-looking radar, all-weather-proof surveillance satellite for the U.S. National Reconnaissance Office and the Central Intelligence Agency, or the NRO and the CIA. The mission was originally scheduled to launch on December 1st, 1988, but the launch was postponed one day because of cloud cover and strong wind conditions at the launch site. Liftoff occurred from LC-39B at Kennedy Space Center, Florida, on December 2nd, 1988, at 09:34 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 9:30. Atlantis touched down on December 6th, 1988, on runway 17 at Edwards Air Force Base, California, at 18:36:11, or 6:36 Eastern Standard Time. The total mission elapsed time at wheel stop was 4 days, 9 hours, 5 minutes, and 37 seconds. Atlantis was returned to the Kennedy Space Center on December 13th, 1988, and moved into an OPF on December 14th, 1988. There has been speculation that an EVA was conducted during this mission. Interviews with members of the crew several years later after the flight confirmed there was a problem with the satellite upon release, whereupon a rendezvous with the satellite was effected and repairs performed. These unspecified repairs could have been necessitated a spacewalk, likely performed by Ross and Shepard, although as a classified DoD mission, details or confirmation of such an EVA remain unreleased. Just to be clarifying, EVA is like a spacewalk. Well, it is a spacewalk. Tile damage. Atlantis' thermal protection system tiles sustained extensive damage during the flight. Ablative insulating material from the right-hand solid rocket booster nose cap had hit the orbiter about 85 seconds into the flight, as seen in the footage of the ascent. The STS-27 crew also commented that white material was observed on the windshield at various times during ascent. The crew made an inspection of the shuttle's impacted starboard side using the shuttle's Candon arm, but the limited resolution and range of the cameras made it impossible to determine the full extent of the tile's damage. The problem was compounded by the fact that the crew was prohibited from using their standard message of sending image to ground control due to the classified nature of the mission. The crew was forced to use a slow, encrypted transmission method, likely causing the images NASA engineers received to be of poor quality, causing them to think the damage was actually just lights and shadows. They told the crew the damage did not look any more severe than on past missions. One report describes the crew as infuriated that Mission Control seems unconcerned. When Gibson saw the damage, he thought to himself, "We're going to die." He and others did not believe that the shuttle would survive re-entry. Gibson advised the crew to relax, because no use dying all tensed up, he said. But if instruments indicated that the shuttle was disintegrating, Gibson planned to tell Mission Control what I thought about their analysis in the remaining seconds before his death. Mullane recalled that while filming the re-entry, through the upper deck's overhead windows, I had visions of molten aluminum being smeared backwards, like rain on a windshield. Although the shuttle landed safely, the damage was much worse than any of us expected, he wrote. Upon landing, the magnitude of the damage to the shuttle astonished NASA. Over 70 damaged tiles were noted, and one tile was missing altogether. The missing tile had been located over the aluminum mounting plate for an L-band antenna, one of 6, part of the Tactical Air Navigation System landing system, perhaps preventing a burn-through of the sort that would ultimately doom Columbia in 2003. There was almost no damage present on the orbiter's left side. STS-27 Atlantis was the most damaged launch entry vehicle to return to Earth successfully. Gibson believed that had the shuttle been destroyed, Congress would have ended the shuttle program, given that only one successful mission had occurred between his flight and the loss of Challenger. A review team investigated the cause, beginning with a detailed inspection of the Atlantis TPS damage, and a review of related inspection reports to establish an in-depth anomaly definition. An extensive data review followed to develop a fault tree and several failure scenarios. This and other information gained during the review formed the basis for the team's findings and recommendation. Crew: Commander Robert L. Gibson, 3rd Spaceflight. Pilot Guy S. Garden, 1st Spaceflight. Mission Specialist 1, Richard M. Mullen, 2nd Spaceflight. Mission Specialist 2, Jerry L. Ross, 2nd Spaceflight. Mission Specialist 3, William M. Shepard, 1st Spaceflight. Unfortunately, the mistake that befell STS-27 would also come to the later mission STS-107, or the destruction of Columbia. They had a similar event happen, except it was in a more damaging spot, causing the entire ship to disintegrate. Alright, that is the end of this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If so, please like and subscribe, and I'll try to make more like this. If you guys got any recommendations, put them in the comments below. I'll see you guys all later. Until next time, goodbye.